Some stories begin with a bang. Mine started with a clipboard, a cold stare, and a woman who thought she ran the world. In a town where lawns had to be exactly 5 inches tall, and wind chimes were considered noise pollution. I was just looking for peace on the land my uncle left me. But Oak Haven had changed. What was once quiet countryside had become a maze of beige houses and tighter rules than a boot camp. I wasn't looking for a fight. But when a homeowners association tries to rewrite the law and pretend you don't exist, well, let's just say, they picked the wrong sheriff to mess with. The first time Sheriff Alex Ramirez stepped foot on the back 40 acres of his late uncle's land, it should have been peaceful, maybe even nostalgic. The property had been in his family for 3 generations. He expected overgrown fences, faded tractor tracks, maybe the rusted remnants of the old chicken coop. Instead, he found manicured lawns, identical beige houses lined in perfect symmetry, and a woman in leopard print leggings, yelling at him from behind oversized sunglasses. "You're trespassing on HOA-monitored property," she shrieked, waving a clipboard like it was a badge of authority. Alex didn't even have a chance to shut his truck door. He was still holding a half-eaten breakfast burrito in one hand and the land deed in the other. "Ma'am," he said flatly, chewing his bite slowly. "I am the cops." The woman's eyes narrowed. "That doesn't give you the right to harass residents." Alex sighed. "I own this land. Got the paperwork right here. You're the ones who should be explaining yourselves." She stepped forward, like she was about to issue a parking citation. "I'm Linda Thompson, president of the Oak Haven Estates, HOA. I've never seen you before. That means you don't live here. I'm also the sheriff of Willow Creek County. I've lived here my whole life. You ever heard of due diligence?" Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "You'll be hearing from our legal team." She turned on her heel and stormed off, heels clicking against the sidewalk like gavel strikes. Alex stood there, staring at a row of carbon copy homes that hadn't existed the last time he was on this land. Something wasn't right. Later that afternoon, back at the station, he pulled up the property records. Sure enough, the county still had the title under estate of Hector Ramirez. No sign of a sale, no zoning changes, no permit history showing an approved subdivision. He leaned back in his chair. Someone had built an entire neighborhood on land that was never legally transferred. He tried calling Carter Development, the company whose signs were still posted along the edge of the property, but was rerouted to a voicemail box labeled Legal Affairs. No callback. 2 days passed. Nothing. So, he did what any seasoned sheriff would do. He grabbed a clipboard, a lawn chair, and went back. He set up at the corner of the neighborhood entrance and started taking notes. Hydrants placed too close to driveways, fences not compliant with county standards, and electrical boxes installed without visible safety markings. It wasn't sabotage. It was documentation, and it didn't take long for Linda to reappear. "What the hell do you think you're doing now?" she snapped. Visor tilted just enough to reveal her glare. "Just assessing my land." "Ma'am," he said without looking up, "according to this deed, I'm authorized to build a goat yoga studio right where your HOA clubhouse stands. You're being absurd." He looked up and smiled. "You started it." That night, he drove out to the far side of the property, the part that hadn't yet been swallowed by stucco walls and prefab porches. There, deep in the brush, he found it the original boundary marker, still intact, half swallowed by weeds. Just beyond it were orange survey flags planted in fresh soil. They were preparing to expand. Phase 2. That's when it stopped being about land and started being about principle. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was theft. Quiet, calculated, legal on paper, but only if no one challenged it. Alex knelt beside the marker, tracing the rusted metal with his fingers. His uncle had trusted the land would stay in the family. The thought of it being paved over by a HOA empire, run by someone like Linda, turned his stomach. His phone buzzed. It was Riley, his deputy. "You okay?" "Boss." Alex looked out across the encroaching rows of houses. "Not yet, but I will be." He stood, fists clenched. The next time he came back, he wasn't coming alone. Sheriff Alex Ramirez had spent his entire career believing in two things: due process and good coffee. But the mess he was unraveling in Oak Haven Estates was neither legal nor comforting. It was calculated chaos, and someone had made it look official. That week, Alex sat elbow deep in land records and dusty archives at the Willow Creek County Clerk's office. He scoured zoning permits, building approvals, land surveys, anything that might show how 30 acres of Ramirez family land had morphed into manicured cul-de-sacs and mailboxes shaped like ducks. But what he found wasn't a trail. It was a dead end on purpose. No signatures from the estate, no traceable sale agreement, just a conditional annexation clause buried in a Carter development file, citing a non-responsive landowner, conveniently filed 6 months after Hector Ramirez's death, during the exact time probate was tied up in bureaucracy. The kicker: the clause wasn't even legally valid in the county without certified delivery to the landowner or public hearing acknowledgement. Neither had happened. Somebody knew no one would notice if they moved fast, and now they were betting that Sheriff Ramirez would look the other way. They bet wrong. He met Deputy Riley Morales outside the diner that Thursday night. She slid a thick manila envelope across the booth, like she was in a crime thriller. "Anonymous drop," she said. "Left in your office mailbox. No prints. But what's inside? Oh, you're gonna love it." Inside were email screenshots, dozens of them. Linda Thompson, Carter Development, planning consultants, county zoning staff. Most chilling of all, an email from Linda to a Carter rep, dated 2 years prior. He won't fight it. Family land means nothing when they see HOA fees rolling in. Trust me, Sheriff Ramirez has bigger fish to fry. Alex exhaled slowly, his jaw tightening. They knew exactly who I was, and they built anyway. Riley shook her head. "You want me to call the state attorney? Not yet." Alex stared out the window at the Oak Haven billboard across the street. Happy families, big smiles, a future built on stolen soil. I want them to show their hand first. That Sunday, he filed paperwork under an alias Miguel Cortez, a fabricated cousin from Arizona, claiming ownership of the undeveloped back acres through a fake email account. Miguel reached out to Carter Development, offering to sell the remaining land privately, quietly. No lawyers. The bait was swallowed in under 48 hours. Carter's regional director responded personally, expressing urgent interest and a desire to fast-track approval under expedited zoning. The meeting was set for Wednesday at a restaurant just outside town. Alex and Riley had the whole place wired for audio and video. When the day came, Riley took a corner booth, headset in place. Alex wore a ball cap and fake glasses, sitting at the next table. The Carter rep arrived in a blazer 2 sizes too tight, sweating confidence and cheap cologne. He didn't even flinch when Miguel told him the land's previous records were missing. "Doesn't matter." The rep smiled. "Our lawyer can backdate what we need. No one's watching this county anyway. Hell, we already slipped one neighborhood past the locals. What's another phase?" Alex clenched his jaw behind the water glass. "Gotcha." Back at the station, Riley helped catalog every piece of footage. By Friday, they had everything: proof of intent, conspiracy to falsify zoning, HOA coordination, and evidence of backdated documents. Still, Alex hesitated. He wanted to expose Carter, wanted Linda held accountable, but he also knew the people of Oak Haven weren't villains. They were victims. They'd bought homes in good faith, paid fees, lived quietly, and trusted the wrong people. Destroying the HOA without warning would leave them leaderless, vulnerable. He needed them on his side. So he paid a visit to the one woman who never stopped speaking truth. Even when no one listened, Mrs. Muller June Holloway had lived in Willow Creek for 62 years. Her porch swing was older than half the town's infrastructure, and her gaze could cut glass. She answered the door in curlers and a shawl, sipping tea like she had all the time in the world. "Sheriff," she said, smiling. "Come to talk about your land or the tyrant running it both?" Alex replied. She led him inside and handed him a folder thicker than most textbooks. HOA violations, secret meetings, a personal memo from Linda pushing to ban garage sales because they were aesthetically chaotic. "I've been collecting," June said, waiting for the right person to do something. Alex looked her in the eyes. "You just found him." That evening, he showed up, unannounced, to the Oakhaven monthly board meeting, this time in full uniform. Linda paled the moment she saw him. "This is private property," she snapped. He stepped to the front and raised his voice. "This is my land. This board was built on false authority. I have proof of coordinated fraud between Carter Development and members of this HOA, including criminal conspiracy and forged deeds." Murmurs erupted. Then silence. Linda tried to speak, but Alex cut her off. "The people in this room are not the problem. You are, and it's time they knew the truth." He placed the folder on the table, along with a single-page notice, effective immediately. "The legality of this HOA is under investigation. All fines are suspended. All further development is halted." The room exploded, not in anger, but in applause. Linda stood frozen. She was no longer in charge. By Monday morning, the quiet streets of Oakhaven were anything but. Word had spread fast. Sheriff Alex Ramirez's takedown at the HOA meeting had been filmed by at least 3 residents. By sunrise, the footage was all over social media, accompanied by hashtags like #HOA breakdown, land back, and #sheriff owns this town. But Alex didn't care about internet fame. He cared about justice. At the courthouse, he sat across from District Attorney Karen Liu, laying out the evidence, the audio recordings, the forged bounce deed, the Carter Development correspondence, and most damning of all, Linda's involvement. Karen flipped through the files like they were a stack of overdue bills. "This is more than fraud," she said. "This is criminal conspiracy, wire fraud, forgery, abuse of authority. They didn't just cross the line. They built a gated community on it." Alex nodded. "And now it's time they answer for it." Karen's office drafted subpoenas for Carter's regional executives. Linda Whitmore, Oakhaven's iron-fisted HOA president, was first on the list. That evening, as residents gathered for a candlelight meeting on the community lawn, no clipboards, no fines. Just folding chairs and coffee, 2 deputies arrived quietly. Linda had just stepped up to a makeshift podium, trying to reclaim control. "Let me be clear," she said, voice shaky. "This is all a misunderstanding. And you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud and falsification of legal documents," said Deputy Morales. Stepping forward, gasps rippled through the crowd. Linda's voice rose. "This is harassment. I am the president of—" "You were," Morales corrected, as she was cuffed. Mrs. Holloway calmly folded her arms and muttered, "About time." In the days that followed, the investigation deepened. Carter Development's offices were raided. Paper trails uncovered bribes to county staff, falsified permits, and even plans to buy out 2 other plots with similarly questionable claims. But what mattered most to Alex was Oakhaven itself, the people. So he called a meeting, not in a clubhouse, but in the very woods that Carter had planned to bulldoze, under the branches of oaks that had stood since his grandfather's time. Neighbors gathered. No microphones, just voices. "I can't promise this will be easy," Alex told them, "but I can promise it will be right. You deserve to live without fear of fines for flowers. You deserve a community that respects you, not controls you." Someone asked, "What happens to the HOA now?" Alex looked around. "That's up to you." And for the first time, silence didn't mean fear. It meant thought. Then someone said, "Let's form a council. No president, just neighbors." Cheers broke out, not wild, but warm, real. Weeks passed. Linda was denied bail. Carter Development suspended operations in 3 counties. The forged documents were officially annulled. The HOA was dissolved. But Alex didn't stop there. He and Mrs. Holloway filed for the land's protective designation status, ensuring the back acres could never be developed again. The forest his uncle once walked would remain untouched. A living legacy. The residents once weary of confrontation, began to reclaim their voice. They painted murals on their fences, held potlucks, played music in the park without needing permission. The fear was gone, and so was Karen's sign about community order. In its place, a handmade wooden plaque now stood, "Welcome to Oak Haven, where common sense and kindness are finally HOA approved." Alex smiled every time he passed it. He didn't need to rule. He just needed to protect.